Who's winning this negotiation? Well, you've already missed the point. You've lost the collaborative potential.
Right, so the new way of thinking.
Hmm.
What's the core idea there?
Well, it reframes negotiation as really a communication of influence. It's an exchange of value, as Castle puts it. The aim isn't to beat the other person. It's to find a solution, ideally a creative one, that actually makes both sides feel good about the outcome.
And crucially, preserves the relationship.
Exactly, without damaging that relationship. It's about making the pie bigger together, not just fighting over the existing slices.
Okay, so to get there, to actually build that bigger pie, we need a game plan, a framework, and that's where those Harvard steps come in. The 4 big ones for finding those wise and practical solutions.
Right. And step 1 is maybe the most important shift in thinking. Focus on interests, not positions.
Okay, explain that difference. Positions versus interests.
Sure. So a position is what someone says they want. It's the stated demand, like, I want the window open, or I need a $10,000 raise. Clear, but surface level.
Okay.
The interest is the why behind it, the hidden need, the motivation. Why do they want the window open? Maybe they need fresh air. Why the $10 raise? Maybe they feel undervalued or need to cover specific costs.
And sticking to positions just leads to deadlock, usually. Like that famous story, the library window.
Yeah, the classic example. 2 people arguing. One insists, open the window, position A. The other insists, close the window, position B.
If you just compromise, maybe open it halfway.
Both are unhappy, right?
Yeah.
Partially drafty, partially stuffy. It's a lose-lose compromise.
But the librarian comes along.
And asks why. The crucial question. Turns out one needed fresh air, that was their interest. The other needed to stop their papers blowing around their interest.
So different underlying needs.
Exactly. And the solution. Open a window in the next room, fresh air comes in, no draft on the papers. Boom.
Yeah.
100% of interest met.
That really shows how digging deeper unlocks creative options that positions just hide.
Completely. So if your team member says, I want Fridays off, that's their position.
Okay.
Asking why might reveal their interest is actually, I need a solid block of uninterrupted time each week to focus on deep work.
Oh, okay. So the solution might not be Friday off at all.
Maybe it's protected remote work time on Mondays or something else entirely. The key is asking why, and importantly, try to understand and talk about their interests first.
Why first?
Because people listen better when they feel genuinely understood. It builds trust right away.
That makes sense. Which leads nicely into the second Harvard step, right? Using fair standards or objective criteria.
Exactly, because even if you understand interests, conflicts will pop up. You know, the landlord wants more rent, you want to pay less. Interests seem directly opposed.
So you can't just keep saying, I want this and they want that.
Yeah.
How do you break that kind of stalemate?
You shift the battleground. You move away from a contest of will's what I want versus what you want, and move towards agreed upon external standards, objective rules.
Like the cake example.
Perfect example. How do 2 kids divide a cake fairly? One cuts, the other chooses the first slice.
The process guarantees fairness. Neither can complain.
Precisely. The fairness protocol is objective. You use the same logic in negotiations.
So instead of just arguing about a price for, say, consulting work,
You could agree to look at industry benchmark reports, or maybe get quotes from 2 other comparable firms, or check published market rates.
so it becomes about what does the market say, or what do the regulations require, not just what do I feel like paying.
Exactly. It depersonalizes the argument. You're debating the standard, not each other's desires, like checking building codes for foundation depth instead of just arguing about it.
Okay, that's powerful. Step 3 then is about getting creative. Invent options for mutual gain.
Right. And this is where we avoid that common trap you mentioned earlier, just splitting things 50-50.
Yeah, because that often means both sides lose out on what they really valued.
Like the orange story, another classic. 2 kids fighting over the last orange. Parent comes in, does the Solomon thing, cuts it exactly in half. Seems fair.
What?
But it turns out one kid only wanted the fruit inside to eat. Threw the peel away. The other kid only wanted the peel for baking a cake. Threw the fruit away.
Oh no. So they each got 50% of the orange, but only 50% of what they actually needed.
Exactly. If they'd talked about interests and brainstormed options before cutting.
One could have had all the fruit, the other all the peel.
Yeah.
100% satisfaction.
Right. And the key insight there is that differences, different interests, different priorities, like one wanting fruit, one wanting peel, aren't problems. They're often the source of clever, value-creating solutions.
So how do you find those options?
The trick is to separate the act of inventing options from the act of judging them. First, you just brainstorm. Go wide, get all the ideas out, even the seemingly silly ones. No criticism allowed at this stage.
Like a dedicated brainstorming session.
Yes. Then, only after you have a list, you start evaluating which options best meet the objective standards and satisfy the key interests of both sides.
Okay, invent, then evaluate.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And the final Harvard step. Step 4.
This one is crucial for making it all work long term. Separate the people from the problem.
The human element.
Absolutely. You have to be able to tackle the issue head on, be really firm about the substance, while still being respectful and decent to the person across the table.
How do you visualize that?
Imagine drawing a line right down the middle. On one side is the person, be soft on them, build rapport, understand their perspective. On the other side is the problem, be hard on that, be persistent, focus on the objective issues and interests.
Soft on the person, hard on the problem. I like that.
And don't underestimate the power of rapport. Seriously, studies show that just taking a few minutes to connect on a human level, arriving early for a meeting to chat, finding some common ground can boost your success rate by like 25, even 30%.
Wow, that much.
Yeah, it builds trust, makes communication smoother. Never skip building that human connection.
Okay, so that 4-step Harvard framework gives us a really solid structure for the negotiation itself. Interest, standards, options, people. But as you said, strategy isn't everything. You need the right mindset, the right preparation to actually execute it effectively.
Exactly. And this is where sources like Tim Castle really add value, focusing on that inner game. He argues, pretty convincingly, that preparation is something like 90% of your success in any negotiation.
90%. Okay, so what does that prep look like? Where do you start?
The absolute non-negotiable starting point is defining your BATNA.
Your best alternative to a negotiated agreement.
That's the one. It's your plan B. It's what you'll do if you don't reach a deal in this specific negotiation. It's your walkaway power.
And define that BATNA. That's where your leverage actually comes from, isn't it?
Totally. Think about a salary negotiation. If you walk in with 0 other job prospects, well, your power is pretty low. You kind of have to take whatever they offer within reason.
Yeah, you're negotiating from a position of weakness.
If you walk in having already secured, say, 2 other solid job offers, your BATNA is strong.
Suddenly you can walk away much more easily.
Which gives you immense confidence and power in the negotiation. You're not desperate. You have good alternatives.
And the timing is key here. You figure out your BATNA before you even start talking.
Absolutely crucial. You never, ever want to negotiate blind without knowing what your walkaway alternative actually is. That's just asking to get less than you deserve.
Okay, BATNA first. Then what? What about making the first offer? There's always that debate, should you go first or wait for them?
Ah, yes, the anchoring question. Conventional wisdom often says, let them name a number first. You don't want to accidentally lowball yourself or, conversely, ask for something outrageous.
Right. Seems safer to wait.
But Castle really challenges that. He argues that making the first offer is powerful because it sets the anchor.
The psychological benchmark.
Exactly. That first number thrown out, whether it's price or timeline or whatever, it tends to heavily influence the entire range of possibilities discussed afterward. It frames the whole conversation.
So if your goal is, say, a $90,000 salary.
Castle would say you anchor higher. Maybe you confidently ask for $105,000.
Okay, but isn't that risky? Couldn't it seem greedy or out of touch?
It can be. If you don't follow the second part of the rule, you must justify your anchor.
Ah, okay. It can't just be a random high number.
No. You need to back it up with evidence, market data, your specific accomplishments, the value you bring, comparable roles. You need to show your receipts, so to speak.
So a well-justified high anchor sets a strong starting point.
Right.
Without justification, it's just posturing.
Precisely. Justified, it's strategic. Unjustified, it's arrogant and counterproductive.
Okay, so you've set your anchor. They'll inevitably push back, right? That leads to concessions. We know we shouldn't just give things away for free.
Never give away value for nothing. A concession isn't a sign of weakness. It's a strategic move.
How so?
You plan your potential concessions in advance, just like your anchor. And when you do concede something, maybe you agree to a slightly lower price, you immediately ask for something of equivalent value in return.
Ah, the quid pro quo.
Exactly. Okay, I can meet you on that price point if you can agree to a longer contract term. Or I can adjust the scope slightly if you're able to provide a public testimonial upon successful completion.
So you're always trading value, not just dropping your demand.
Always exchanging. It keeps the negotiation balanced and ensures you're still maximizing your outcome, even while showing flexibility.
Right, that makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, let's shift fully into the mindset stuff now. Because you can have the best strategy, the best prep, But if you don't execute with the right internal state.
It falls apart, yeah. And the big one here is confidence. Castle stresses that great negotiators aren't necessarily born charismatic. They build their confidence.
Oh. It's not just puffing out your chest, right?
No, not arrogance. True confidence comes from two things. Knowing you've done your preparation thoroughly.
Knowing your BP&A, your anchor justification, your planned concessions.
Exactly. And second, having genuine self-belief in the value you offer, it gives you the courage to actually ask for what you're worth.
And that means avoiding those weak openers.
Oh, definitely. Things like, I hate to ask this, but, or would it be okay if maybe?
Undermines you before you even start.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
You need to speak with quiet authority, grounded in the facts and the value you've established.
Now, you mentioned Castle highlights something kind of counterintuitive related to confidence and control. The power of silence. Talk less, listen more.
Yes, it's huge. We often feel this pressure in negotiation to fill every gap, to keep talking, to persuade.
Right, silence can feel awkward.
It can. But the strategic advantage often lies in embracing that silence. Castle calls it the ask then silence rule.
Okay, how does that work?
You make your clear ask, state your anchor, propose your term, whatever it is, and then you stop talking completely. Just silence. Let it hang there. It creates a subtle psychological pressure on the other side. They feel compelled to fill the void.
And what happens when they fill it?
Often, they'll either reveal valuable information, maybe explain their constraints or their thinking, or sometimes they'll even make the first concession just to break the tension.
Wow. So the silence does the work for you.
In many cases, yes. Castle says your silence can be more powerful than any clever sentence you could come up with. Don't rush to fill it.
Okay, that's a tough one to practice, but sounds powerful. Last area. Dealing with the tough stuff. What about outright rejection? They just say no.
Well, first off, don't view no as the end of the road. Often it's actually the beginning of the real negotiation.
How so?
Because that no gives you an opening. It tells you there's an issue, an obstacle you haven't addressed yet. It's a window into their underlying concerns.
So instead of giving up, you dig deeper.
Exactly. The most powerful question you can ask after a no is something like, okay, I understand. Could you help me understand what specifically would need to change for this to become a yes?
That shifts it immediately from rejection back to problem solving.
Precisely. You're inviting them to collaborate on finding a way forward.
What if it gets more personal, though? What if they don't just say no, but they attack you or your proposal? Call it unreasonable or greedy.
Yeah, that happens. People can get defensive or try to put you off balance. The key here is not to get defensive yourself. Don't take the bait.
So what do you do instead?
You use what the Harvard folks call negotiation jujitsu. Like in martial arts, you don't meet force with force. You sidestep their attack and redirect their energy back to the problem itself.
Okay. How does that look practically?
A few ways. One, if they attack your position, look behind it. Ask why. Again, why do you feel this proposal is unreasonable? Force them to explain their logic. Two, you can ask for their advice. Sounds counterintuitive, but saying, okay, if you were in my shoes facing these market realities, what would you suggest? Can sometimes disarm them and make them think constructively.
Interesting tactic.
Three, you can even invite criticism constructively.
Yeah.
What do you see as the biggest weakness in this approach? Again, it pulls them away from personal attacks and into analyzing the substance.
And what if you suspect they're using, like, deliberate dirty tactics? Good cop, bad cop, or something like that.
The simplest and often most effective way to deal with those is just to name them calmly.
Just call it out.
Yeah. Something like, it feels a bit like you and Sarah might be playing good cop, bad cop here. Can we just focus on the core issues? Naming the tactic often neutralizes its power immediately.
Right? Brings it out in the open.
Yeah.
Okay, wow, we've covered a lot of ground. So just to recap quickly for everyone listening, we've got that core Harvard framework. Step 1, focus on interests, not just positions. Step 2, use objective standards or fair criteria. Step 3, invent creative options for mutual gain. And step 4, separate the people from the problem.
The structural pillars.
And then layered on top, we have those crucial inner game elements, really nailing down your BAT&A, your walkaway plan, using anchoring effectively by making a justified first offer, making strategic concessions, always trading value.
And mastering that internal state, building real confidence through preparation, and leveraging the surprising power of strategic silence. Plus, knowing how to handle rejection and redirect attacks with that negotiation jujitsu.
It's a really comprehensive toolkit.
It is. And underlying all these tactics and strategies, there's maybe a deeper truth about what negotiation is really about. It reminds me of that old story, I think it's from 1964. A guy sees a father and son throwing a frisbee back and forth in the park, clearly having a great time. And this onlooker walks up and asks the father, "So who's winning?"
Ah, missing the point entirely.
Exactly. The father just smiles. Like playing frisbee or like a good marriage, negotiation isn't fundamentally about one side winning. It can't be. The real goal is making the interaction itself work, keeping the relationship healthy, and finding solutions that genuinely satisfy the important interests on both sides. That's the real win.
That's a great way to frame it, finding that mutually satisfying solution. So maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. We've talked a lot about how your power in negotiation really stems from defining your BAT&A, your best alternative, and having the confidence that comes from being prepared to walk away if needed. So the question is, what negotiation are you in right now, maybe personally and professionally, where you haven't actually sat down and clearly defined your walkaway point, where you're maybe negotiating a bit blind? Think about what simply taking the time to define that alternative, your true plan B, would do for your confidence and your approach the very next time you engage in that conversation.